righty, good morning. Welcome to the Center, Eureka Center for Spiritual Living. My name's Scott. I'll be your host for the next couple of minutes. Thank you for taking time to be here this morning. Do we need a bell? I think there is one down here. So, there we go. Oh, you got a cowbell. That's even better. When you were yelling children, I was thinking of the Cheech and Chong thing with Sister Mary Oliphant. Class! Okay, somebody remembers that. All right. Class.
Class. There you go.
All right. Let's start out by honoring the land on which we are located. The Eureka Center for Spiritual Living acknowledges that the land on which we gather is the ancestral territory of the Wiyot peoples. This territory extends to the communities throughout most of Humboldt County, and we honor the Wiyot peoples today. And now we'll see if this is, look at that, that works so nicely. Okay, we're gonna do again what we did last week, because I liked it, and when Karen's up here doing the moderator thing, she can do what she would like to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to read together the top half of this screen, and then on the bottom half you can certainly do what it says, or you can turn to somebody, get up if you can, and say to somebody grand rising, or great rising, or good morning, or howdy doody, or man you look bitchin', whatever you would like to say. It's all up to you. But together we will start out with, we are a welcoming community where the vibration of love lifts us, the wisdom of the ages inspires us, and the science of mind teaching empowers us. And turn to somebody and say, grand rising, good morning, great rising. I like how everybody has to raise their arms to do this. That's really fun. Okay. Our weekly schedule is there we go, is now on the screen. Look at us getting fancy with the AV crew now. They're dividing these. Burl, did you want to say?
Miracles is on Monday at 10.
Oh, A Course of Miracles is Monday at 10. Burl wanted that added in. That's been going on for quite some time. They took it off.
I
Yes.
didn't mean to. I took it off for Christmas and New Year's and then just spaced.
But next week you'll
Which has been happening a lot lately.
Why am I starting to feel like I'm hosting a Jerry Springer thing? Okay. Speaking of specifics that are coming up, there is a new group that has been formed called Better Together. It is a social club, and there is an event going on today, and if you would like to go to it, let's see, where did Rose go? Rose, did you want to say something or just remind people to? I didn't do that. There we go. Let's leave it where it is. Okay. Rose, if you want to say something, you want to come up here so the Zoomers can also hear you. And Good morning, Zoomers.
So, good morning. So, we decided that it's wonderful when we meet here every Sunday, but it's also wonderful to get to know each other a little bit better away from the center. So we're starting a social group which is open not just to the center, but to people of our entire community. And we'll be doing at least one social event per month, maybe more. We're looking for suggestions from people who want to share and play with us. So there's a sign-up sheet right over here that for your name and email, so we can email you and let you know what's going to be going on in that particular month. And like I said, we really welcome suggestions about activities you might want us to do as a group.
And
tonight, there's
Rose. There's Rose up there.
There's Rose.
Peter something.
Peter
Right, and he's a comic psychic, and he's been on television, and Scott's actually seen him on TV.
I'd like to see him read my mind.
I'm a real fan of what they call mentalists, those magicians who can, they just imagine, or they can say what you're thinking. And my wife and I, specifically me, guilty pleasure is America's Got Talent, and he's been on it. And I remember seeing him, and just blew me away. Just amazing and very funny. So that's
What is his name? What's his last name?
Peter.
Peter Sumner.
I don't know what his last name is. Antonio? Peter A. Peter A. I don't know what his name.
He says the Arcadian Theater Lounge tonight at 6 o'clock. If you go there, the tickets are $25. He's not the only comedian that will be performing.
Okay. Max, you wanted to talk about where are you? You wanted to talk about the road cleanup.
I didn't see any kayaks parked out in front of the building. We broke a record yesterday on rainfall, and so we canceled the highway cleanup. I think we got like 2.5 inches, and it's 100-year-old plus record. The next highway cleanup, I'm going to have to kind of jiggle that around with my cat Gandhi, come up with an answer. But if you're interested in joining us, my text number is in the past notices. So, thank you.
Or dare I say it, better than finding his text number is he's sitting right here. So you could come up to him and tell him you would be interested. The next step with Reverend Angelica, Reverend Angelica, did you want to say something about this?
Sure. Why not? Oh, no, that's
Wait,
not
it
what
went too far again. Is there a slide for the next step back there?
Maybe it's
There we go. Okay. Now you can come up.
I decided that our focus was going to be on peace this year. Really, our planet really needs peace in a lot of different ways. We know that peace begins with us. So I decided that on the third Wednesday of every month, I'm going to be doing an evening thing called My Next Step. And we will have a little talk, we will have discussion, and then a meditation. And it's on Zoom. So join me this week, Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
And how do we get the link?
It's the same link that you use for everything.
Oh, okay.
EurekaCenterForSpiritualLiving.com.
Facebook and the emails.
Okay. I have been asked repeatedly to do something like this, so I have, well, not this. What is going on with the slides here? Okay, they're out of order is what's happening. So let's do the January 21st celebration, which I have not been asked to do. And Donna, if you'd come up and speak to that. And you can attest to the fact that, see, there was supposed to be a different slide there.
You're very correct.
Thank you.
It's good. It can be right once in a while. We are so excited to offer the beginnings of our celebration of our 40th year as a center. And Rick was there in the beginning. Jackson was there in the beginning. I was there in year 3. So, gosh, that sounds like 37 years ago. And, okay.
You were a baby, right?
I was 12. Yeah. She's a really good side guy. So, 2 things that we need from you today. If you are going to or know that someone is coming who is either vegan or vegetarian, it would be very helpful for our chef to know that. We have garnered Chef Guadalupe, and she is constructing this luncheon for us. It's fabulous. I met with Angelica and Guadalupe and her friend Jessica. And the menu is enchiladas verdes with chicken, vegan ceviche, green salad, chilaquiles which is a yummy, yummy thing with, anyway, it's also made vegetarian and vegan. And arroz and frijoles, and everybody knows that's rice and beans.
Don't they start beef stick?
No, no beef stick this time. So, by show of hands, if you know of a vegan or vegetarian preference person who's coming, could you poke it up now? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5. Good. So we'll probably have service for 10. And food for 10 too. Okay, that'd be good. So remember, that's next Sunday, and we have a fabulous day planned of music, remembrance, and you gotta be here next Sunday because it's special. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
All right, now let's spin the wheel and see which slide shows up next. There we go. All right. So I've been asked to do this in my former life. I worked for an international weight loss organization for 34 years. I won't say what it was, but it rhymed with hate watchers. And so I've been asked if I would do kind of a modified version. It's not about weight, it's just about changing the habits. So if you take a look at the pattern by which we do what we do, you see something in the world. You have a thought about what you see. Sometimes the thought elicits an emotion. You respond to the emotion. So if you see something and your thought pattern goes one way, you do certain actions. Those actions make your life. If you would like to change the way your life is working, you start by changing the thoughts and the feelings about what it is that you see. And it's a fun course. I did it for what I affectionately refer to as the mothership 3 times. And Angelica and Rose have asked if we would do it here. So it's a 5-week course. It'll be September. Just randomly month comes into my head. It'll be February 7th through March 6th, noon to 1, $79 for the whole series. Of course, the center gets a large percentage of that. And then it says optional value added, which is something that Angelica said she has seen in other locations, where at the end of the course, if you think it was worth more than that, you give more. If you think it was worth less than that, I'm sorry. But if you think it was worth more, excuse me? And it's going to be in person, yes. It'll be in the social hall. So if you're interested, I guess we needed to put a sign-up sheet, but we did not. So you can talk to Rose or Angelica or myself, and we'll see if we can get a sign-up sheet. And it's not just limited to the center. It's limited to anybody. So I'm going to publicize it to the level that I can. I know Rose is going to also. Yes, Burl?
Are you going to have a scale?
No, it's not a weight thing. It's a habit thing. Yeah, so if you've got a habit that you don't like about yourself and you've been trying to change it, then this is a good approach to get past it. And it is not specific to the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living. There are a lot of, the basic concept behind it, as you can see, is I guess there's some small text up there. What you say to yourself determines what you do to yourself. If you're not happy with what you're doing to yourself or where you are, say something different to yourself, which kind of is what Science of Mind is, but it's not a Science of Mind thing. Okay, so that will be starting February 7th after I get back from LA. Let's see here. We've got the Alaskan cruise. And Burl, did you want to say anything to that effect?
If you haven't signed up already, it's possible that you can still do it. I'll have to check with Debbie. That's our travel agency, Galeonis.
Mm-hmm.
So she's making all the arrangements for us for the airfare to get up there and get back to Vancouver. The itinerary has us to fly to Anchorage. Day 1, Day 2, we go to Denali and then out McKinley. What?
She said you can come up here and say that.
Oh.
I'll repeat it. Sign up now if you'd like to go on the cruise. There we go. I summed it all up because we're running out of time. Our bookstore. What will we see this time? There we go. All books except Reverend Angelica's books and used books are 20% off. That's in the other room. Little Pantry always needs to be fed so we can support our community. Non-perishable foods are always welcomed. Individual servings, please. If you have a whole lot you would like to bring them in Mondays from noon to 4 because walk in awe wherever there she is. We'll be glad to divide them into smaller segments. And I think that's it. We're going to move to our theme for the month, and for the theme for the year is the Grand Rising. And with that in mind, I will bring up Susan, who will be doing the Moment of Peace, which is our name for the contemplative meditation right now.
This year.
For the whole year. Yeah, in 2025, we don't give a damn about peace, just this year.
I don't want
Oh, yeah,
that.
you don't want, no, you don't. You don't want that.
Good morning. So I have found a reading from a book called Gifts from My Course in Miracles. And at the end of the reading, there's an affirmation. So if you would just get comfortable in your chair, and if it feels right, you can close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths, center yourself, and take these words into your heart. We are the essential instruments of peace for the world, and our own thoughts and actions determine how deeply peace is experienced and how widely it is shared. We become the means of peace when we are willing to learn, to teach, to give, and especially to forgive. The world will change through you. No other means can save it. The peace of God is shining in me now. All things shine upon me in that peace, and I bless all things with the light within me.
When I walked in the room, I sensed the presence, and I knew this was a place where love abounds. For this is the temple, the God of love abides here. We are standing in the presence on holy ground.
We stand in the presence always. We are the presence. We are the peace, the love, and the light that is everywhere available. It not only surrounds us, it is us. It is everywhere. And as we open to it, as we open our hearts and our minds and our souls to accept our birthright, we know that we are love, we are peace, we are light. And we come together today to celebrate this, to honor it in each other, to support each other, and to join in fellowship and joy and love, because there is laughter, there is joy, there is love, and it all comes from being peace. And we know that the peace of the world is within us, and we are a part of it, and we are the instruments of peace. And so I celebrate this within each one of us, because I know that this is our birthright, that this is our path, that this is who we are. And so I simply let today's gathering unfold in the right and perfect way, because I know that it is all good. And I know that we are all based in the truth of the light, of the love, of knowing that we are the one with the one. And so I simply let it be, and so it is.
We are standing on holy ground, and I know that there are angels all around. Let us feel God's love right now, right now. That sweet presence here with us on holy
And now I will leave the podium to make room for our minister, Reverend Angelica.
Thank you, Susan and Jackson. That was good, very good. I have to thank Scott for, in his announcement for his class, he basically talked about what I'm going to talk about this morning. So we could just say, okay, we're finished. However, you can't imagine me not talking, right? So we are working on the second chapter of the prologue of the Science of Mind textbook. And this chapter is called The Way It Works. And I found this note that I had gotten years and years ago from the late David Walker, who was one of my dearest spiritual brothers. He had a church in Los Angeles. He sent the field this note one day. He said, several weeks ago when we were leaving the Grove Theater here in Los Angeles, it just so happened that George Lucas, the Grand Marshal of the Rose Parade, so you can tell how long ago it was sitting in the lobby with a lady friend. I approached him and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Lucas, may I ask you a question?" "Sure," he said. I continued, "I have a picture of you standing in front of a library of books, and I noticed that one of them was The Science of Mind." Immediately, his lady friend said, "Yes, Ernest Holmes, I bought you that book." "Yes," I said. "In any case, were you influenced by Ernest Holmes?" His reply was, "Yes, I was. Where do you think the force came from?" So Dr. Holmes writes, "The realization that good is universal and that as much good as any individual is able to incorporate in their life is theirs to use is what constitutes the science of mind and spirit." I love that phrase, the science of mind and spirit. When I think of the science of mind, it just seems very school-like in a way, but the science of mind and spirit, this is what we're studying here. And this is what, when you join a faith tradition like this is something that you will be studying for the rest of your life, whether you're coming here or not. Because as Scott said earlier, basically is what Dr. Holmes said and Jesus said and many of the other great masters said, it's done unto you as you believe. So our job then is to really look at what you're believing. So think about this. Luke Skywalker is flying a fighter jet through deep caverns, starting to become afraid when he hears Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice reminding him that the Force is within him. He acknowledges that thought and his fear disappears and he's able to continue on his journey. So I see this as an analogy sort of for us, especially as we look out at the world. When we look out at the world right now, we're seeing a lot of consternation, divisiveness, people that are really fighting for their higher good. We're seeing hate on one hand, we're seeing a lot of love on another hand. There's so much out there that is constantly bombarding us if we pay attention to the news or we look at Facebook or we look at any sort of media at all. And so we're maneuvering through this miasma of belief systems. And are we allowing ourselves to pick some up as we're on our journey? Yeah, unfortunately. My mind immediately goes to that one that shall not be named, that's named every single day in the news. And yet I realized last night as I'm going over my notes that that's something I have to stop doing. I have to stop getting attached to that or to any other thing that's happening in the world or in my personal life that upsets me. In my personal history, I know, this is my belief, fleas are only in the summer. Not in Humboldt. All of a sudden, my house has a bunch of fleas in it. Little teeny ones. And I didn't even realize it until I gave Katie back to Catherine and she said, oh, I found 3 fleas. Not from my house. No way. And then I'm sitting there last night and I'm going, oh, what was that? And I'm watching my one cat come over and she stops for a moment and she's looking at something and I look to see what she's looking at and it's this teeny weeny little flea. So of course, I smashed it. But, so there's a belief system about how, that I have, about how horrible fleas are. And I know lots of people have that because, pharmacies are making a fortune selling various flea products. My cats have been on a natural flea product for quite a few years now. And I wrote them this morning an email and said, something's wrong. It's not working anymore. So what do? We'll see what they say. I'll probably have to up the dose or something. But they're nice little treats that they really like, so that's good. So when we find out where our conscious thoughts go and what happens to them, we're more apt to pay attention to what we allow ourselves to think about. Do I want to think that that Humboldt is what the vet told me a long time ago? A veritable heaven for fleas? No, I don't want to buy into that. I haven't bought into it for 9 years. And now all of a sudden I did. So this is why I say that this teaching is a teaching that is going to last a lifetime. We're constantly going to be re-educating ourselves by looking at what we believe about life. Dr. Holmes writes in this chapter, in our ignorance of the truth, we have misused the highest power we possess. And so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, so absolute the domain of law through it, that the misuse of this power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. Jesus said it easier. It's done unto us as we believe. So where are these beliefs that we have to look at? Most of us know what we believe on a surface level, but where we're really going to look at our beliefs is in our subjective or subconscious mind. In the Science Mind book, they call it subjective. Psychiatry calls it subconscious. That's where our beliefs are. And that's what that subconscious mind is playing an important role in creating what we want for ourselves. You might not even know that you believe a certain thing, but if something is happening to you over and over and over again, our job then is to go, okay, here's a pattern I keep repeating. Now, why? And you could use journaling, you could use meditation, you could go to a practitioner. We're really good at helping you find the little threads that connect us to these things we don't want to be connected to. But we need to continually be connected. And the truth is that ignorance of this idea excuses no one from its effects. We're living by a law that says it's done unto you as you believe. Not just because you're in this teaching. You've been living it ever since you were a little child. You know, this memory flies through, so it needs to be mentioned, I suppose. One night, I go to see the movie with my husband, Schindler's List. And I start crying in that movie at a deep level, a level deeper than anything. And I'm sure I'm making too much noise. And I'm trying to keep quiet so I can finish the movie, the whole thing. And I do, but when I go home, I think to myself, what was that about? What was that about? And I went into meditation, and I had this experience of seeing myself as a 16-year-old girl in a past life in one of those encampments and experiencing the horrors that were to be experienced there. And then my mind then goes to the fact that I came into this life. I lived with my birth mother for 2 years, then was adopted by a family where the mother was a rageaholic, alcoholic and full of rage, and the father was always absent. And so I brought that victimization with me into this experience. And I had to do a lot of work to get past that. I mean, I didn't even know it until, I got into the science of mind. But what I do know is that it made so much sense to me at that time of that meditation, that's where it was coming from. And realizing in that meditation that I could change it, that I didn't have to live that way, that I could change it. So it, capital I-T, God, first cause, our higher self, the force, whatever we want to call it, works for us by working through us. It can't work any other way. It can't do things to us. It can only work through us. Dr. Holmes writes in this chapter, it spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle, but it can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. Just stop for a moment and allow yourself to think about this power that is residing within you. You might use as an analogy the electricity that's in this building. If the lights are off and there's no musicians and all of that, the power is still there. What happens? You have to either flip a switch or plug in. And to me, this is what meditation is about, is plugging into the power, and having a realization, yes, there is a power for good, Dr. Holmes says, that we can use all the time. We could always use it. He goes on to say, our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle, which of itself is without limits. Our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle, which of itself is without limits. So if you think, I can't go any further than this, have another think, because it's without limits, right? It's ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So it's not a question of its willingness or God's willingness or the force's willingness, whatever you want to call it, nor its ability. It's entirely a question of our own receptivity. Am I a good receptacle for the power that's flowing absolutely everywhere, all around the world, within me, etc.? Or am I stopping it? Do I have the lights on or off? You know, you could tell if people do, even how much they do by looking in people's eyes. One of the things I love about teaching classes is watching the light get brighter in people's eyes. It's such an amazing experience. So he goes on to say, how much good can we just demonstrate? Exactly how much we can believe. So you might want to ask yourself, how much am I willing to receive? How much love, how much health, how much wealth, how much creativity? How much am I willing to receive? There are no limits. The other thing I really want you to get is that this is an impersonal law. You don't have to be good little boys and girls to use this law. We don't have to sit hours in meditation or prayer, because it's going to work for us, through us, whether we're working it constructively or destructively. Back to the fleas.
I wonder when he would come back now.
When I was living in, where was I living at the time? I don't even remember. Hawaii. I had a boyfriend who was an organic chemist, and I had a wonderful dog. He was part Labrador, part I don't know what, probably a bunch of things. Just a wonderful dog. But it seemed like every night I would get home from classes and from work. This was when I was studying to be a minister. And I would go in, and Rick would have Hobbs rolled over, that was the dog's name, rolled over on the floor, searching through his fur. And I finally, first I just thought he was petting him or scratching his tummy or whatever. And I finally said to him one day, "What are you looking for?" And he says, "I'm looking for fleas." I said, "Hobbs doesn't have fleas." He says, "All dogs have fleas." It's not Hobbs. However, that put this little, because Hobbs and I had made an agreement when he and I decided to live together, because Hawaii is also a place that's really flea-ridden. And I said, no, not in my reality. Anyway, so he hadn't had fleas. I went to Reverend Helen after class one night and said to her, "Rick is looking for fleas. And I know that if you look for something, you're going to find it." And she says to me, "Do you want Hobbs to have fleas?" I said, "Well, of course not." And she says, "The trained mind is the dominant mind." And so I let Rick look as long as he wanted to, but he never found one flea. I got to try that again. So, if this force works for us, through us, all the time, this means we really have to become conscious of our beliefs. So how do we do that? Well, you know what? You look around you, because you're manifesting all the time. Everything around you is around you because of your beliefs. If you want to go into quantum thinking for a moment, there isn't anybody there except you. And this is all a figment of your imagination, something that you created. So if you're having problems with your neighbors or whatever it might be, it's all part of your picture that you're projecting out into this green screen. We look around our world and we see this is happening here, and this is happening here, and this I like, and this I don't like. So this I don't like is what we want to change. And those things that we do like, let's praise them. Really praise the stuff that you love in your life, that you like in your life. I mean, you would not believe my rose bushes. It is time to clip them back. But you know what? I don't want to, because they still have buds on them that are coming into bloom. Now, I know nature's a little wacky this year, but I think one of the reasons that they're doing so beautifully, and you know, they get cut way back every year, and yet they're probably 9 feet tall. And they have so many roses on them, and I believe it's because I love them. And I'm grateful for them. And I admire the beauty. You know, if you really looked at a rose, some of them, like David Austin roses, have this whirl of petals around the middle. And everything, you know, the uniqueness of one rose from another on the same branch, you know, it's amazing to me. So those things that we really appreciate and love respond to us tremendously, just like the other way. Those things that we don't like, they respond to us amazingly as well. So maybe what you might think when you notice that you're, what do they call it, stinking thinking, when you're in that sort of experience, what you might notice is, wow, am I powerful? And change the direction of your thoughts. Change what you choose to believe in. You know, years ago, I visited the Loretto Chapel in New Mexico. Has anybody been there besides me? It's just amazing. It was built in 1878, and the Sisters of Loretto created this chapel to look like one in Paris. There wasn't really much planning put into the building of it. They knew they wanted a beautiful rose window, a beautiful altar, and a choir loft. But when the chapel was almost finished, they realized they had a choir loft, but the building wasn't big enough to put in a stairway to get to it. So the builders created a ladder. But the ladder ruined the design of this absolutely gorgeous chapel. So they checked with all the craftsmen in the area, and no one could come up with a way to construct a stairway into the choir loft. The sisters did what they do. They went into prayer. They didn't know what else to do. The 9th day of their prayers, a man came wandering in. He had a bearded, wind-burned face and dark eyes. They thought he'd come up from Mexico. He said, "I heard you want to build a stairway up to the choir loft, and I will do that." This man spent the next 8 months constructing an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous spiral staircase out of a hardwood that could not be found in New Mexico. He built 33 steps up into the choir loft. The day that he finished the staircase, he disappeared. They didn't know who he was. He hadn't taken any payment for materials or his labor. Now, I read this story on a little plaque at this chapel, and I thought to myself, oh my God, this is the way it works, right? I mean, the legend is that Jesus, who was a master carpenter, showed up and helped build this spiral staircase. That, you know, being Catholic nuns, that's an appropriate legend. For me, I'm thinking the sisters had an idea in their minds of what they wanted. They found people to create it from the beginning to the end. And when this challenge happened, They didn't let go of their idea, they went into prayer about it. So when you go into prayer, something can be established in consciousness. And when you establish something in consciousness, all the power of the universe goes to work and the thing is done. If I was to ask each of you, you probably have a story in your life where something wasn't going right and you either prayed about it or meditated on it, or you decided, hell no, I'm not going to let that be in my experience. That's a prayer too. Reverend Helen used to call those goddammit prayers. Hey, they work. You know why they work? Because you've got emotion behind it. And it's not just the thoughts that rule things. It's thought plus feeling. That's what makes demonstrations. So what I'm inviting you to do this week is to really acknowledge that there is this power within you. And let yourself pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to the interactions that you have with people so that you can really examine your beliefs. And then choose to change those beliefs that are not working for you. And let this powerful presence work for you by working through you. You know, what we could say is that what Obi-Wan Kenobi said was, let the Force be with you. Let's have our affirmation. And you know, even that in that let the Force be with you, it's not like you're inviting it in, it's already there. You're just becoming aware of it. So, as a thinking, knowing, conscious center of life, I know that as much as I can believe will be done unto me. And so let's go into prayer. Gratefully, I acknowledge that there is this powerful force for good within me, within all of us, within absolutely everything. In truth, there is just a force. We make it either good or bad. And so I declare right now that each one of us is ready and willing to see where we have been using this force negatively. And we allow ourselves to change our thinking and change our experiences, to change our feelings about what's happening and change our experiences. Because I know that if we acknowledge this power as a power for good, then it has to be that for us. So I know for each one of us that this power for good is within our physical bodies, that every cell and atom of our body is saying, yay, I'm healthy because of this power. I know for each one of us that every thing that we do with our hands in this world, how we express our creativity, is an expression of this power within us. And I know that it is good and very good. I know that as we look into the faces of the people around us, that they too have this power within them. And so we see that all of our relationships are now made more whole, because what we're realizing is this power for good, this power is love. It's unconditional love, and it's infinitely intelligent, and it is within us always. And I know that this power is also in our financial life, that wherever we have been thinking that we're not enough or we don't have enough, we can change that now, because there is more than enough. This power is infinite, and we celebrate that with every fiber of our being, knowing this infinite power, infinitely loving, infinitely intelligent power is within us. And so we keep the light on. We plug in as often as we can. and it is good, very good. And lives are transformed because of it. Not only ours, but of the people in our lives. The plants and the animals and the insects, all of Mother Nature is transformed because we recognize this power and we use it for good. Countries all around the planet are affected by it because we use this power for peace, a true peace, that peace that passeth all understanding. And for all these things, we are grateful. We are so grateful to have this conscious awareness of how powerful we are and how the power is everywhere. And I release these words into the law, knowing that they are already so, and so it is. And Anna is giving us a gift of music this morning, so let's welcome her up.
Thank you. Well, we're going to revisit that song I wrote for you guys, for us. I'm going to use this little guitar that doesn't have a strap button on it yet, so I have to sit down. You will excuse me. I'm going to get ready here. And the boys are going to help me a little bit. I'm a little tired, had a little deep last night. Fingers are a little sore. Work my fingers to the bone. And this is I'm gonna walk my walk, and I say it, and then you say back to me, I'm gonna talk my talk, I'm gonna talk my talk. Then we do it again just to make sure we know what we just said. I'm gonna walk my walk. I'm gonna talk my talk. That's you, right? Go to your left. Okay. All right. You ready, boys? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here we are at the top. I'm gonna walk my walk.
Wow, what a gift. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Nice singing.
I hope you take this as a compliment. You kind of are channeling a Melissa Etheridge, Bonnie Raitt kind of feel.
And Sandy Koufax.
And Sandy Koufax. Okay, let's go ahead and get our gifts together here. So we need somebody to help James. Do we have somebody who, there we go, walking on will help? And as a reminder, oh, here we go, we got all sorts of people. Now we just need to fill them. As a reminder, what we say to ourselves determines what we do to ourselves. So as you put your gift in the plate, put a positive thought in it too. You're not just putting money in, you are putting your energy, you are putting your dreams, you are putting your affirmations into it. So even if you can't put a cent, put love into it. So we first say, I gratefully give from the fullness of my abundance, knowing my gift blesses this. And so it is. Band, it's up to you. I am grateful for the knowledge that there is only one source, one force, and it is all around us, including everything that has been given to us today as gifts. And I know that as these gifts enter into the physical world, they are accompanied with love, they are accompanied with peace, and they are accompanied with the knowledge that there is a better world happening even as we stand here and watch it unfold. And for that knowledge and for what these gifts will do, I am incredibly grateful and filled with joy. And I release these into the universe and say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. And they'll go back over to Susan. Okay, let's see. Oh, we do have a little bit of time. We're going to do our community statement of inclusion in just a moment. So we will need a volunteer to come up and read that. However, before we do that, a reminder that the practitioners are here to help you out at the end of the service. We call it the 5-minute miracle, but we don't cut it off at 5 minutes if you need more. So if you would like to talk to a practitioner about whatever might be concerning you, just like to share, we are here. Our practitioners for today are myself, Susan, of course, Angelica is technically a practitioner. Is that it? Is that all we have? Okay, so somebody's better start training to be more practitioners here. But before we get into that, we'd like to do sharing of demonstrations, and in science of mind terminology, a demonstration is the outpicturing, the actual result of what it is that we said to ourselves and what has been manifested. So, Lori, you have a demonstration, and Rose, did you have one too? Okay, so we'll do Lori first.
Hi. This is the anniversary of breaking my wrist last year in January.
Can you speak into the mic there? Over here.
So after 5 weeks of casts, they put a brace that had a metal thing on me, and they said, don't lift anything heavier than your cell phone in that hand now that you don't have a cast. So the prior December, Angelica had said to us, you know, I'd like us to focus more on healing prayer and get really good at it. And I thought to myself, that's one area I'm not really familiar with. So here I am at the 5th week with the brace on, and I'm out walking, and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like I did before I broke my wrist, and I'm out walking in the world, and there was some wet grass, and I decided to move over to off so I didn't slip on the grass. You know, after you've broken something like that, it's like you're really watching out. And I slipped on some silt. Getting off the wet grass, I slipped on some silt. And I fell backward that time. The first time when I broke my wrist, I fell forward. I fell back and I landed on that wrist, and that wrist hit the curb. And it was really wonderful. These 2 women in different vehicles stopped to get me up off because I couldn't push myself up with that. And then the following week we were in book circle, and I said to Angelica and the others in the book circle, I know why I broke my wrist, because I started praying as soon as I realized that I could have re-broken my wrist with that fall. So I made an appointment to go in and have it looked at and x-rayed. And it was my perfect lesson in prayer, because it was absolutely fine. That's all I have to say.
Rose, did you have a quick demonstration you would like to make for us? And remember, we still need somebody to read the community statement of inclusion. That'll be next. Speak to the mic.
Oh, okay. Like you, I know that we are the force, and the force works through us, and we do get to have whatever we believe we get to have. But I keep forgetting that. It's like I'm always reawakening. And usually it takes me being sort of stuck or pushed or in a position where, okay, it's now or never. And then I remember, oh yeah, I don't have to do this on my own. And then I go into treatment and it materializes. And this happened for me just a few weeks ago. I had to get a car, and I was being pushed in a lot of directions, mainly by my insurance company, to hurry it up and buy a car. And so I finally sat down and went, okay, I've got to do this. And I sat down and I got very clear, and I got a treatment together for myself. And I said, the terms were, I want it quick, I want it easy, I want to know that I got a real good deal, I want to feel really comfortable and happy and safe in this car, and that's it. And the only thing I had decided was what kind of car I wanted, and I sat there and I spent a few hours on the web that day, on the internet, and I searched. I started with Eureka and got their price, and then I went all through California on the internet to dealerships in all major places and not major places, and they were way higher than Eureka. So I went, okay. So I went to Oregon, and I went all through Oregon, and I kept calling and going to all these places, and they were way higher than Eureka. And I finally called Eureka back and went, does it come with seats and doors? They went, yes, it does, and there's only one left, and I got it. And it was, it's a 24 Prius.
Okay, do we have somebody now after all of that? Oh yes, Donna. And then Donna will also lead us right into our closing song. Let me get you to the page where we're supposed to be. Ta-da.
You're so handy. I also remind you that tomorrow, and invite you, tomorrow is a day on. It's Martin Luther King Day from 11 to 1 out down at Adorney. It's a wonderful program I get to do the benediction for the day, the gathering. So I do invite you to come down there. God's calling me now. Go stop. Seriously.
God calling now.
Community statement of inclusion and affirmation. We, the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living, are a community that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusion, champions inner work, God, and creates space for brave, vulnerable conversations. We are a community that honors the unique emanation of God that each person embodies and advocates for people, with people, for human rights and dignity for all. We are a community that blesses each other, sees sacredness in all life, remain learners and listeners so we may grow together, and understands that oneness is not sameness. Together we say, we know our beloved community is revealed more fully when we love each other well. So it is. I hope.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. Please stand with me and we'll sing the peace song for our day. That's why you have the doorman job, you know that. You're welcome. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, loved ones all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Amen, amen.
Thank you.